Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. This week we're going to be completing the project that we started last week. We're going to take that toolbox heater, and if you haven't seen that episode, I'll put a link to it down in the description. I do recommend you go back and see that before watching this episode. We're going to take the toolbox heater and we're going to bolt it onto the Land Rover underneath the rear wing on the passenger side at the back end of it. We're going to then route the air outlet into the main body of the vehicle and then come up with a way of routing it into the cab. One of the main areas that's going to concern me on this one is drilling into the fuel tank and fitting a pickup pipe in there for the heater, so we're running off our own line. I don't want to tap into the fuel lines, but we'll have a look at that and we'll go through that and see how it goes. Right, let's get started.
Hi, we're Nick and Joe, and we're on a journey to retirement and a life of full-time travel. Overlanding is our passion, and we've driven and owned a succession of Land Rovers over the last 40 years. For the last 20 years, our Project Land Rover has been our mercurial 1989 110 station wagon. It's been a family car, occasional overlander and demanding companion. Come along with us and our perfectly imperfect Land Rover as we get ready to hit the road for full-time travel.
So one of the main issues we had in Belgium was voltage drop between the battery and the burner unit itself. Not surprising really, because there's a bit of a Heath Robinson contraption that we were using. You know, crocodile clips onto the battery, and then at one point we did have two extensions running on kind of like cigarette lighters. So there's no surprise we're getting that voltage drop. Don't think that'll be so much of an issue when, you know, it's hardwired into the vehicle electrics, so I don't think that is going to cause us any great issues. Hopefully we should be able to start it up by wiring it into the leisure battery. What else do we want to do before we mount it into the Land Rover? I'm going to change a couple of the fittings. At the moment I've just got the fuel hoses coming through the case itself, but I'm going to do effectively what I've done here with the fuel can and put 3 bulkhead connectors on there so that they'll be able to mount a bit more securely, don't run the risk of them jumping out of the grommets and cutting themselves. I also need to do a bit of adaptation onto the box, onto the toolbox itself, so it fits into the Land Rover. Going to paint the box itself. It's obviously a metal box. Could have used a plastic box, but this was washed to hand, and also it fits the heater quite nicely. So we're going to strip everything out of this and then paint it after we've made the adaptations to fit it onto the body. So let's crack on and strip it down. So, I think the best way to hold this up will probably be with some fairly gnarly L brackets, just some scrap that I picked up, and we'll run them with some rib nuts held onto the wheel arches, and then we'll put the box on top of that. Something like that to hold it in place. That should do it. Fairly tight at the top at the front, but a bit of a gap at the back because there's nothing running at the back. But I think that should do it. If we can get in there and make the holes, see how that goes. Right, so now that's the case sitting up in the space nice and tight. Need to mark out for where the nuts are going to go in. But we just noticed one problem already with the support for the wheel arch, which is in the way. That might be interesting getting the bolt in there, but we'll see. Right, I'll take that away now, drill it, fit the riv nuts, and then come back and see if we're a trial fit. So welcome back. You may not actually have been anywhere, but during the time I've been filming this video, we've gone through Christmas, so it's a few days later than the last part of the video where we were doing the install underneath the Land Rover. So what we've come back now to do is refit the heater into the metal toolbox before we actually do the final install under the rear wing of the Land Rover. So off camera, what we did manage to fit in was we managed to respray the box, clean it up, added new holes for the fuel lines and some drain holes in the bottom. So that's all now ready to go. So what I'm going to do now is put all that back in the box and get it ready to install. So you've already seen that, so I'll get on with that and come back to you when we're ready to move on to the next phase. One last bit of external work to do before I can put the box in. I need to cut an inlet for the air to come in out of the heater, hot air. I've had to do a little bit of fettling around up inside to clear a bit of space for it, because obviously I've got the cupboards built in there, but I think we're there. So now we need to get up in there with the 75mm hole saw, excuse me, and cut ourselves a hole. So it would of course be a whole lot easier if I could drill it from up the top. With the cupboards in that, it's a bit difficult, but we'll give it a good go. Already put a hard pilot hole through. It's a case of whether I can actually find it or not. There we go. Right, let's give it a go. Through the aluminium. It's actually easier than I'd hoped. Right, so I've got the box out. All the cables have been lengthened, including the ones for the control panel. That's all in there, ready to go. All we need to do is fold the lid down, and then we can bolt that shut, hopefully for the last time. I think my only worry is this bit may catch on one of the strengthening ribs on the seat base at the top, but we'll see. We may have to cut a piece out of that, but we'll see how it goes. Right, so I've taken about 5mm off of that connector, so hopefully it feels like it is. There we go. Right. Okay, just checking the back, see how that lines up. Right, so that's all lined up pretty well with the inlet hole. So what I'm going to need to do now is bolt the whole thing down. Right, so I haven't really looked inside the vehicle to see where the warm air is going to be coming in. Obviously it's in the rear left quarter, just behind where the number plate is. So it was where I kept my Ridge Monkey jerry can. You can see it there. There's a little quarter where it used to slide in and slide out. But amazingly, I'll be honest, more through luck than judgment, the actual hole for the 75mm pipe came up spot on. It's pretty good seeing I mark that out, you know, with my hand reaching through from one side of the box to the other to kind of mark it out, but it worked. And that little bit of fettling I did and adjusting where the hole was coming when I drilled it was just spot on. So what you got is you've got 75mm coupler there that's kind of bridged. So I've got another one that's gone down the inside that I've sliced, so it's slightly smaller, that joins the coupler that's on the top of the box itself. So you've got a solid join between the box and the inside of the Land Rover, and hopefully we'll just be able to get some 75mm pipe on that. Can't really see with the camera there, but just give you a rough idea. Obviously I'll show you when it's plumbed in, and that will bring the air up into the cab. How we actually bring it in its final form, we'll have a look at that a bit later on. Right, so next we're going to fit the cabling in from the actual heater itself, run it into some flexible conduit. Well, it's not actually conduit, it's a bit of older wallpaper stripper pipe that I've repurposed, and that's going to go in at the wheel, under the wheel arch. Just do a little pilot hole there, and that will come in around all my rat's nest of cables and then get fed in to the battery box there. So let's have a see how we get on with that. Right, so that's the cabling in now. So we've got it going in, got through there, coming out, and then we've actually done a bit of tidying on the cables, and then into the battery box. So we've got the earth all crimped up, ready to go. Inline fuse is back in, and there's the live ready to go, but I'll connect them up last. So that's another job ticked off the list. Right, now let's get round to installing the rest of the air vent coming into the vehicle. Make use of the infrastructure that's already there. Of course, remembering this isn't by any means the final layout of the vehicle. This is just workarounds for now. Right. So we get on the bottom. Even makes use of the wood that I cut out of the side panel. Waste not, want not. Right. So that's all connected up now. And what we have is a vent that can rotate. Okay, it's made out of a bit of drain pipe that happens to sit right down in that outlet fascia piece quite well, which means I've got a little bit of direction on where I want the vent to go. But it also means that if I wanted to, I could build a cutting extension that goes out through the window and up into the roof tent if I wanted to heat the roof tent instead of the back of the Land Rover. That's the plan. But at the moment, all I'm working on is heating here. Right, I suppose we've come to what is now probably the main event, the one that's probably been keeping me awake at night. How we're going to get the fuel out of the Defender's tank and up into the heater. I could have used the tank that came with it, but what I'm planning to do is fit a, I think it's a dispatcher. You might be able to see it in there. Secondary fuel pipe into the tank. We're drilling it right about there and dropping it in so the pipe sits above the level of the actual pickup pipe, so hopefully we'll never drain it, but no guarantees on that. Down to drain it down to a point where we can't use it. But what I've got to do is get the sender unit out whilst it's in still fitted, well, the tank's still fitted onto the Land Rover, and then kind of work around that to drill in and then reach round, which is going to be quite tight. And what I don't really want to do is drop the new pickup pipe into the tank. Otherwise I'll have to drop the tank and do it another way. this could be one of these jobs that goes really easy or really difficult, and I wish I'd dropped the tank in the first place. But I've cleaned it up a little bit. What I've got to do now is try and unbolt the fuel pickup pipe and then take out the sender unit. Sounds easy, but I'm not so sure. If we loosened it enough to just rest my hand. Yeah. Alright. That's what I need. Something to catch any fuel that drips back out the pipe. There's nothing there. Move that up out the way. Right. Separate that. I'm sure there's a fancy tool for doing this. There you go. Helps if you know which bit you're clicking off. Right. The next bit tells you to use a blunt chisel or a stubby screwdriver. Got to knock the retaining plate around. Let's give that a go. So you've got to knock that around until the there we go. Fraction more maybe. Right. Let's see if we can pull that out now. There you go. There we go. That's the sender unit out. Right, let's get that rubber ring out. Right, that's that out. Right, here goes nothing. Work out the best way to get in there. This is not going to be simple. To think about trying to rig up something inside the tank to try and catch any swarf, but I think most of it will fall outside. Anything else will have to come out by draining, I think. Most exciting TV. should be it. Hopefully. Now, hopefully I don't live to regret that. Let's see if it fits in. Cool. So that's what the view should look like from the back. Right, now I just have to work out how long I'm going to cut the pipe. So the reality is I don't need the pipe to go all the way to the bottom, because that way I could drain the tank. I think I'm going to have to measure from the centre to maybe an inch or so above the bottom of the tank, and then cut the pipe to size. Right, so I've cut that down now, so that's 16.5 centimetres. Slightly angled pickup, so that will drop in like that. Doesn't hit the bottom, so it will give us a reserve. And now I've just got to work out how I'm going to get that in and pull it through. So what we've done is we've fed a bit of cord through side to side, fitted it on to the pickup, which is now cut to size and bent. So go down. What I'm going to do is feed it in and then pull it through, and hopefully we'll pull it back through the hole. Now, if you were top mounting this, you could do it by making a bigger hole, a 25mm hole, and then you've got kind of wings on the back that you can feed in either side. But because I'm side mounting it, I don't really want to risk that. You know, so I've drilled it 18mm so it just fits the threaded insert. So here goes nothing. Let's hope I've fired off all the sharp edges. It's tied on and taped on. Right, now, hopefully, I can... One other thing I did do is I put another rubber washer on the back of it, only a small one. But I've fed all these through on the string and cord. So hopefully I can just push them on. Want the angle about like that. 45 degrees. Of course, what I've probably unwittingly done is completely obstructed myself when I come to knocking the locking ring back onto the sender unit. As far as I can get by hand. Now I'm going to need to tighten it up. Of course, there ain't much room in here to work with. Not sure I'm even going to get this on. Right, and that should do it. Right, next part is putting the sender unit back in. Job's a good one. Right, next stage, connect up the new fuel pipe. Right, so that's the install complete now. Okay, you've got the sender and you've got the fuel pickup, the line coming off it. There's a bit of a rub point there, so I've covered it with some more pipe to give it a bit of protection, and then that feeds up into the heater box. So all we've got left to do down here is fit the air inlet for the burner unit and the exhaust. But next up, I think, is I'll put the control unit inside the body of the vehicle. Right, so off camera I've now added the control panel, soldered the cables, 3 connector cables, and fitted that inside, but you'll see that in a bit. What I'm going to do now is the kind of the last bit of the installation, which is installing the hose and exhaust, which I'm going to fit up into the body. So I'm going to run the exhaust off the back there, but I want it to come out at 90 degrees to the body, in case we have the annex back on. So let's crack on and do that. So that's a flexi pipe bent into shape now. So what I'm going to do is use some exhaust paste where I fix it up, and then I'm going to use some kind of higher quality Jubilee clips to hold it in place, because I think the ones that come with it are a little bit under strength, shall we say. So I'll crack on and do that, and I'll come back and show you when it's fitted. Okay, so that's the installation pretty much complete. I've got in the air breather for the burner unit. The exhaust line is in, and back down to the actual silencer. Not as much of a silencer. We've got the fuel feed in. There's the fuel feed coming out to the burner unit, and obviously we've got the electrical cable in the conduit going up into the vehicle. So probably need to put some P-clips on the conduit to hold that in place, and I'm going to probably put some sort of splash barrier in here just to protect the air inlet when we're driving. But I think that is about us ready to go for a fire up. All right, so cabling's all in on the battery. Just got to connect up 25 amp fuse into the fuse holder, which may be easier said than done one-handed. But he shoots, he scores. So that's in there. So that should be the final part of the build. Time to go and try and fire up. Right, so that's the installation inside. So that's the controller. Yeah, a bit difficult with the light glare. According to the meter, we got 13.7 kicking out of the leisure battery, and it's actually charging from the sun, which is not bad in late December. Right, so let's see if this powers up. Right, nothing is going to happen there really, because it needs to prime, but it's come on, which is good, and I think that we'll let that go through its natural course, and we'll see where it comes out to. Right, while it's going through its initial setup, I think we'll probably have to prime it in a minute. I'm just going to go into the app on the phone. Device. So it's found it. Connecting. Connect them together. Success. Okay. And then we can go in and have a look at that. And then we've got the app display. So, saying that the room temperature is 5 degrees and power level is 10. You can see a little revolving circle there that says the motor is going. Oh, the pump has just kicked in. Should be able to hear that. And you can see on there the little pump indicator. It's a bit difficult. I'm trying to turn off that light actually. That's better. You may be able to probably just see that the fuel is just starting to pull up out of the tank. There you go, it's just coming up through. So that's now going to make its way all the way up through the filter and into the burner unit. So next time we see it, it'll be coming through here. So there we got the fuel. It's just starting to crank round. And it's just stopped. So it's done 2 priming sequences so far. Hopefully it'll go on to a third in a minute. But that fuel is certainly starting to get there. It's just reached up to there. So it's got about another 30 centimetres till it gets to the actual burner unit. Let's see if it fires up again. Right, so it's just turned itself off. Let's see if we can go for it on the final one. Right, let's pop outside and see if it fires up. Hopefully this time it should get it all the way through to the injector, to the burner unit. It's starting to fire up. I don't think it's going to go very far because it's got a big airlock there though. Got a bit of heat to it, so the burner's working, but I just don't think it's going to catch or it's going to continue because I think there's too much of an airlock. We've got air coming out. It's warm. But let's go and have a look. So we're back in. She's running. The temperature is starting to climb. It's a little bit dark in here. Try and get a bit of light on the situation. So I've got my thermal gun, but I don't know whether you'll be able to see it. So that is saying 47 degrees coming out of the vent. So you can feel the heat coming off it already. It says the temperature in here is 7. But that's good. So that's all started off the leisure battery. Haven't had to had the voltage drop problem that we had off the when we were in Bruges. So one other bit it does come with is a little key fob where you can turn it on and off and put the power up and down. I haven't tried that one yet. I don't think it's got any batteries in it. Oh, it has got batteries in it. Blimey, it works. There you go, you can see it changing the temperature. So that's quite a simple little one. You can hear the pump changing as it goes. I would say it's probably actually warmer than 11 degrees in here. Reckons it's about 25. So I think that room temperature is probably a little bit inaccurate. Right. Final thing we need to do is turn it off then. And let it turn off and go through the rundown procedure. So we'll try that with the control. And it's really quite important that you don't disconnect it from the electric at this point. Obviously I'm not going to. Now it's all hardwired in, but before, when it had it outside on a kind of extension, it was easier just to unplug it, but you need to let it go through the cool down procedure. So all in all, that's a pretty good test. All right, that's the last couple of fixings in place. We've got some P-clips holding the electrical conduit in place, and I put kind of like an inner wheel arch just to protect, you know, all the pieces that we just fitted in there, just to keep the mud off it. The last thing we really want is the mud getting thrown up into the vent. So hopefully that should keep it out of the way. So, a little bit of a journey that we've gone on to get the diesel heater fitted to the motor, but it's in there now. I'll keep you up to date, let you know how it goes along the way. We'll of course go out and field test it, but at the moment, for a 70 quid diesel heater, it seems to be doing the job. You know, we've tested it kind of remotely, and now we've got it in the vehicle, so all's well. As it's the first week of January, and the UK as usual has gone into panic mode because we've got a little bit of cold weather, I thought it's probably a good time to give an update on the heater install. So it's working out magic. I hadn't really considered this as a factor when I was fitting in, but the ability to stand in my kitchen with my mug of coffee and use the remote control to switch on the heater and then watch the frost disappear off the windscreen is a pretty good bonus. So the wagon's running pretty sweet now in terms of winterisation. I've dropped the muff at the front, so that's stopping the really cold air going onto the radiator, which allows it to heat up faster, which means I've got better heat coming out of the vents onto the windscreen when I'm driving. I don't need to have the diesel heater on all the time. And also the electric seats, absolutely heated seats, absolute winner. You know, I bought those last year, £100, a pretty easy install. You've just got to peel off the seat covers and put them on, and they are absolutely a lifesaver. So I think I'm pretty well equipped now. Diesel heater heats the car, I jump in, turn on the electric seats, and away I go. I suppose the only thing I probably need is a heated steering wheel, but you can't have everything, can you? Look forward to seeing you in the next video. A happy new year to all our viewers. Thanks for watching and all the likes and subscribing to the channel. It's brilliant for us. It's amazing how far we've come in a very short period. We're almost knocking on 500 subscribers now, which is super. We didn't really expect that when we started, so thanks to everybody. And I'll see you in the next one. All the best. Cheers. I'll be back again in the next episode where I'm going to be looking at the rear differential and some noises that are coming from the back end of the Land Rover.